can we go again?
Yeah, have you got that new script there, Bernard?
Oh, yes, Prime Minister.
The Trident programme is too expensive. By cancelling it, we shall release billions of pounds to fund an imaginative and radical attack on the nation's problems. What this country needs is a
Can we hold it?
What was wrong?
No, it's very good, Prime Minister.
Just a minute, Bernard, yes?
Do you mind not leaning forward like that? It makes you look as though you're selling insurance. Trying to urge the customer to sign. And also it makes you look up at the lens like a sort of suppliant. You should really be looking down from on high.
Yes, I see. What this country needs. What this country needs. What this country needs.
Mr. Malcolm and I have drafted a slightly different version to this speech.
Let's see. We shall, of course, be reviewing a wide range of options over the whole field of government expenditure. Bernard, this doesn't say anything.
Oh, thank you, Prime Minister.
Oh,
you're too kind, Prime Minister.
No, Bernard. I don't like it.
All right, you could say urgently reviewing.
No.
Well, I do think it should be toned down a bit.
How? Any thoughts, Malcolm?
Well, what about the Trident programme is a heavy burden on your tax bill. £15 billion is a lot of money, and we should be looking at it very carefully to see if it merits the amount it costs.
Yes. Yes, all right. It's okay to mention figures, isn't it, Godfrey?
Yes, I mean, practically no one takes them in, and those who do don't believe them. But it makes people think you've got the facts at your fingertips. And don't forget, people don't know you're reading them off the teleprompter.
Apart from that, it was fine, wasn't it?
Yes, you were going a bit slowly.
Well, the teleprompter thing was going a bit slowly.
No. It follows your speed. Try going slow and then fast, okay?
Oh,
and cue.
The Trident programme is a heavy burden on your tax bill. £15 billion is a lot of money, and yes, I see what you mean.
Prime Minister, would you mind not saying your tax bill?
Oh, why not?
Well, it makes you sound as though you're not one of the people. You know, it's like the ruler talking to the ruled, them and us.
See, well, what should I say?
Our tax bill? I mean, you pay taxes too.
Yes. Change that, would you, Bernard?
Yes, Prime Minister. I still think it's very direct.
Oh, good. Thank you, Bernard.
No, I mean, lots of people's jobs in this country depend on Trident. Until there's been a consultation.
Yes, that's a thought. Malcolm?
Well, we could say defence expenditure is one of those areas which this government will be looking at closely to see if we can achieve the same level of defence at a lower cost.
That's too long. Can you make it 2 sentences?
Oh, why?
Well, Prime Minister, it's just that we find that if a sentence goes on over 3 lines, then by the time it gets to the end, most people have forgotten how it began, including the person speaking.
2 sentences, Malcolm.
And you are beginning to lean forward again a bit.
But that's what I do when I want to look sincere.
Yeah, but the trouble is, it makes you look like someone who wants to look sincere. If you lean back, you look relaxed and in control. That's it. Don't lean back quite as far as that. Then it looks as though you've had a liquid lunch. You can always underline bits of the script where you want to look sincere, and then you just frown and say them a bit more slowly.
Anything else?
Well, your face is a bit wooden. Yeah, only when you're speaking. You see, in normal speech, you move your head and eyebrows and cheek muscles and so on. So don't let the teleprompter turn you into a zombie. Okay? Thank you.
Defence expenditure is one of the areas which this government will be examining closely. It may be that we can achieve the same.
Prime Minister, that's just a little bit too.
What, that silly grand design? Bernard, that was precisely what you had to avoid. How did this come about? I shall need a very good explanation.
Well, he's very keen on it.
What's that got to do with it? Things don't happen just because prime ministers are very keen on them. Neville Chamberlain was very keen on peace.
Yes, he thinks it's a vote winner.
Ah, that's more serious. Sit down. What makes him think that?
Well, the party have had an opinion poll done. It seems all the voters are in favour of bringing back national service.
Well, have another opinion poll done showing the voters are against bringing back national service.
Well, we can't be for it and
Oh,
against.
of course they can, Bernard. Have you ever been surveyed?
Yes, well, not me, actually, my house. Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, Bernard, you know what happens. Nice young lady comes up to you. Obviously, you want to create a good impression. You don't want to look a fool, do you?
No.
No, so she starts asking you some questions. Mr. Woolley, Are you worried about the number of young people without jobs?
Yes.
Are you worried about the rise in crime among teenagers?
Yes.
Do you think there's a lack of discipline in our comprehensive schools?
Yes.
Do you think young people welcome some authority and leadership in their lives?
Yes.
Do you think they respond to a challenge?
Yes.
Would you be in favor of reintroducing national service?
Yes. Oh, well, I suppose I might.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Of course you would, Bernard. After all you've told you can't say no to that. So, they don't mention the first 5 questions, they publish the last one.
Is that really what they do?
Well, not the reputable ones, no, but there aren't many of those. So, alternatively, the young lady can get the opposite result.
How?
Mr. Woolley, are you worried about the danger of war?
Yes.
Are you worried about the growth of armaments?
Yes.
Do you think there's a danger in giving young people guns and teaching them how to kill?
Yes.
Do you think it's wrong to force people to take up arms against their will?
Yes.
Would you oppose the reintroduction of national service?
Yes.
There you are, you see, Bernard. The perfect balanced sample. So, we just commissioned our own survey for the Ministry of Defence. See to it, Bernard.
Yes, but what about the broadcast?
When's he expecting to do it?
I don't know, sometime next month, I suppose.
Well, perhaps you'll tell him it'll be in 11 days' time.
11 days? That's a bit soon. Suppose he refuses.
Well, then you can tell him that we've just learned from the Joint Broadcasting Committee that the opposition will be holding a party political in 18 days' time, and he's entitled to get his ministerial in first. Of course, if he wishes the first political broadcast of his premiership to be given by the opposition, that's fine.
Is that true?
It will be. If you don't mention it till tomorrow.
But he could still announce his new policy.
I don't think so, Bernard. He'll have only one meeting with his cabinet colleagues in the Overseas Policy and Defence Committee to clear it.
I understand all his cabinet colleagues are in favour of it.
Yes, but only personally, Bernard, only politically. But are they in favour officially, as responsible departmental ministers?
Oh, I see. I suppose that will depend on the advice they get, will it?
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for your cigarette paper. Your paper on it.
Is this serious, Prime Minister?
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's always been the practice in the past to discourage anti-smoking speeches by ministers and not to print or distribute their speeches if they make them.
Well, I want Peter's speeches printed and distributed. I want everybody to know.
Yes, Prime Minister. Do you think you will win this one? The tobacco lobby is incredibly powerful.
Well, some you win, some you lose, Bernard. This one I shall definitely lose.
And why?
If you were the Treasury, which would you rather do without? £1.5 billion in tax cuts or £4 billion in lost tobacco tax revenue?
Well, the tax cuts, it's smaller.
Exactly. That's what I want, and that's what I shall get.
Oh, it's Sir Humphrey. Can he have a word?
Yes, of course.
Yes, come in, please.
Ah,
Prime Minister?
Humphrey.
I was just wondering, did you have an interesting chat with Dr. Thorne?
Yes, he proposed the elimination of smoking.
By a campaign of mass hypnosis, perhaps.
By raising tobacco taxes sky high and simultaneously banning all advertising, including at point of sale. Don't you think his position is admirably moral?
Moral, perhaps, but extremely silly. No man in his right mind could possibly contemplate such a proposal.
I'm contemplating it.
Yes, of course, Prime Minister. Please, don't misunderstand me. It is quite right, of course, that you should contemplate all proposals that come from your government, but no sane man would ever support it.
I'm supporting it.
And quite right, too. You see, the only little problem is that the tax on tobacco is a major source of revenue for the government.
It's also a major source of death from killer diseases.
Yes, indeed, but no definite causative link has ever been proved, has it?
The statistics are
Statistics,
unarguable.
you can prove anything with statistics.
Even the truth.
Yeah.
It says here, smoking-related diseases cost the NHS £165 million a year.
Yes, but we've been into that. It has been shown that if those extra 100,000 people had lived to a ripe old age, they would have cost us even more in pensions and social security than they did in medical treatment. So, financially speaking, it's unquestionably better that they continue to die at about the present rate.
When cholera killed 30,000 people in 1833, we got the Public Health Act. When smog killed 2,500 people in 1952, we got the Clean Air Act. A commercial drug kills half a dozen people and we get it withdrawn from sale. Cigarettes kill 100,000 people a year. And what do we get?
£4 billion a year. 25,000 jobs in the tobacco industry, a flourishing cigarette export business helping our balance of trade, 250,000 jobs related to tobacco, newsagents, packaging, transport.
These figures are just guesses.
No, they're they're facts.
I see. So your statistics are facts and my facts are merely statistics.
Prime Minister, I'm on your side. I'm merely giving you some of the arguments that you will encounter.
Thank you, Humphrey. I'm so glad to know that we shall have support such as yours.
But, Prime Minister, it will be pointed out that the tobacco companies are great sponsors of sport. Now, where would the BBC sports programmes be if cigarette companies couldn't sponsor the events that they telegraph?
Humphrey, we're talking about 100,000 deaths a year.
Yes, but cigarette taxes pay for a third of the cost of the National Health Service. We're saving many more lives than we otherwise could because of those smokers who voluntarily lay down their lives for their friends.
Well, Bernard.
Well, Prime Minister.
Very well, Bernard. Things are going very well indeed.
Oh, good.
I've got the Treasury on the run and the Chancellor.
Oh, is that good? When he's a member of your own government?
Of course it's good. You've got to learn to come to heel. You've got to learn to cooperate.
What do you mean, cooperate?
I mean obey my commands. That's what cooperate means when you're Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, why are these tax cuts in your interest? I know the Treasury hates giving money back, but it's your government too.
But it's simple. Cutting taxes by £1.5 billion is going to win us masses of votes. But my ministers are more interested in getting money for their own departments than in supporting me. So I'm using my support for Peter Thorne as a little leverage on the Treasury.
Your loyal support?
Precisely. In order to get their loyal support.
And after you get the tax cut, you will withdraw your loyal support from Peter Thorne?
Dear Bernard, how can you be so cynical? I shall simply rearrange my priorities.
Sir Humphrey's waiting to see you outside.
Send him in at once.
Yes, Prime Minister. Your word is my cooperation.
Humphrey,
Prime Minister.
everything all right?
Everything, I'm afraid, Prime Minister, is very far from all right.
Yeah, what's the trouble?
Your anti-smoking legislation.
What about it?
Well, notwithstanding the fact that your proposal could conceivably encompass certain concomitant benefits of a marginal peripheral relevance, there is a countervailing consideration of infinitely superior magnitude involving your personal complicity and corroborative malfeasance, with the consequence that the taint and stigma of your former associations and diversions could irredeemably and irretrievably invalidate your position and culminate in public revelations and recriminations of a profoundly embarrassing and ultimately indefensible character.
Perhaps I could have a précis of that.
There's nicotine on your hands.
What do you mean?
All the hospitality that we've enjoyed at BTG's expense. Champagne receptions, buffet lunches, the best seats at sporting and cultural events.
What's the problem?
The tobacco companies may release this embarrassing information to the press.
It's not embarrassing. I've had drinks at the Soviet embassy. That doesn't make me a Russian spy.
Well, no.
Let them do their worst. Anything else?
Well, Prime Minister, there is another vital point to bear in mind. A lot of people, eminent people, influential people, have argued that such legislation would be a blow against freedom of choice.
Rubbish. I'm not banning smoking itself. Does every tax rise represent a blow against freedom?
Well, depends how big the tax rise is.
That's fascinating. Does 20 pence represent a blow against freedom?
Prime Minister.
25 pence? 30 pence? 31. Is something a blow against freedom simply because it can seriously damage your wealth?
Prime Minister, I must warn you of the difficulties. I foresee all sorts of unforeseen problems.
Such as?
If I could foresee them, they wouldn't be unforeseen.
Bernard! Why did you allow Sir Humphrey to come in here when I explicitly told him not to?
Well, I couldn't stop him.
Why not?
He's bigger than me.
Well, he must be confined to the Cabinet Office.
How?
Lock the communicating door.
He has a key.
Take his key away from him.
Take his key away from
Take
him?
his key away from him.
You take his key away from him. Sorry, Prime Minister, but I don't think it's within my power.
I'm giving you the power, Bernard. I am authorizing you.
But I don't know whether I mean, crikey. He'll go completely potty.
Up to you, Bernard.
Yes, but...
Freedom, Bernard.
yes, but...
I am authorizing you, Bernard.
Yes,
You alone, Bernard, will have access to the Prime Minister.
but...
But me no buts, Bernard. Shakespeare.
No, Prime Minister, but me no buts is circa 1820. Mrs. St. Lever used the phrase in 1708, but actually it was Scott's employment of it in the Antiquary in 1816 which made it fashionable.
Shall we keep to the point, please, Bernard?
Yes, Prime Minister. There's only one problem. If I'm to take his key away from him, what reason can I possibly give?
Sake, Bernard, find a reason.
Yes, Prime Minister. Thank you, Prime Minister.
Thank me no thankings, Bernard. Hacker.
Bernard? Yes. It's me. Look, I'm coming through to number 10. I'd like a word with the Prime Minister, please.
No, Sir Humphrey.
What did you say?
I said no, Sir Humphrey.
No!
Yes.
Oh, that's better. For a moment, I thought you said no.
I did say no. The Prime Minister is busy.
Then I'll come and see you.
I'm busy too. What? Sir Humphrey, you may not come in. You do not have permission.
I'm coming anyway, you little runt.
He couldn't believe his ears.
What did he say?
He's coming anyway.
Are you feeling strong enough?
No, it's all right. He can't come in. I told security to take his key from his office. My God.
No, Bernard, it's just your boss.
I'm staggered.
I'm fairly surprised myself.
Well, how did you get through a solid door?
Where's my key gone?
You must have a spare.
Where's my key?
The Prime Minister told me to have it removed.
That's not correct.
Would you mind, dear Liz? Nothing to do with you. Thank you. The Prime Minister does not have it within his power to deprive me of my key.
It's his house.
It's a government building.
Well, I believe it's the Prime Minister's decision who comes into his house. After all, I don't give my mother-in-law the key to my house.
I am not the Prime Minister's mother-in-law, Bernard. Look, Bernard. Would you excuse us, dear lady?
Yes? Carry on.
Bernard, I don't want us to fall out over this. It's so pretty of the Prime Minister. You and I are going to have to work together for some years yet, but Prime Ministers come and go. Whereas your career prospects depend upon those who have the power over promotions and appointments on a long-term basis.
I must insist you tell me how you came in.
Sorry?
You must have a personal key. Now, I insist you hand it over.
Well done, Bernard.
Hello, is that security? Change the locks on the door, connecting the Cabinet Office to this house, and then bring me all the keys. Yes, all the keys. At once!
Open this door! Open this door! You'll pay for this! Open the bloody door!
I'm sorry, sir. Do you have an appointment?
I'm Sir Humphrey Appleby.
I know that's Sir Humphrey. Do you have an appointment?
I'm the Cabinet Secretary.
Yes. Do you have an appointment?
I don't need an appointment. And I got a pass.
May I see it, please, sir?
Insist. All right, now.
No, sir, that's a Cabinet Office pass, not a number 10 pass.
You know me, damn it.
There's a new top security instruction, I'm afraid, sir. No one, no matter how familiar, may enter without a number 10 pass. Unless they're on the daily list. Or unless Mr. Bernard Woolley gives permission. Would you like me to phone Mr. Woolley, sir?
Yes. No. Yes.
Was that a yes, sir? Yes, sir. I have Sir Humphrey Appleby here, wishing to enter by the front door. Would you ask Mr. Woolley if he may be admitted? I'm sorry, Sir Humphrey, I can't find Mr. Woolley at the moment, and he left no word, so we can't let you in.
Oh, look, it's Humphrey.
Turn that noise off! It's all right, it's only Sir Humphrey.
It's all right. I'm perfectly safe. Sir Humphrey, to what do we owe this pleasure?
Prime Minister, I must protest in the strongest possible terms my profound opposition to a newly instituted practice which imposes severe and intolerable restrictions upon the ingress and egress of senior members of the hierarchy, and which will, in all probability, should the current deplorable innovation be perpetuated, precipitate a constriction of the channels of communication and culminate in a condition of organizational atrophy and administrative paralysis, which will render effectively impossible the coherent and coordinated discharge of the function of government within Her Majesty's United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
You mean you've lost your key?
Who cabinet meeting, darling?
I want a triple scotch.
Oh, as bad as that. Why?
Apparently the financial crisis is much worse than we thought. All the cabinet have got to make cuts in their spending plans.
Oh, Bernard, would you like a scotch?
Oh, yes, sir. Could I have a large one, please?
Oh, another triple.
Bernard, Humphrey should have seen this coming and warned me.
I don't think Sir Humphrey understands economics, Prime Minister. He did read classics, you know.
Well, that's Sir Frank. He's head of the Treasury.
Well, I'm afraid he's at an even greater disadvantage in understanding economics. He's an economist.
If there's an economic crisis, can't the cabinet see they've got to be cuts?
Well, they can see they've got to be cuts in other departments, not in their own.
So this morning you ordered a clamp down.
I can't order anything, darling. I'm only the Prime Minister.
You're in charge.
No, I'm not. A leader can only lead by consent. Consensus. That's democracy.
So who is in charge if you're not?
Well, nobody, really. There must be. That's what democracy is all about. And as if that weren't enough, I've got a deputation of MPs coming to see me this afternoon about a pay rise I promised them.
What will you say?
I shall say I deeply sympathise, which I don't. They fully deserve their money, which isn't true. And that I shall make it my first priority as soon as the crisis is over, which I shan't. But if they go and vote themselves a whacking great pay rise and then tell everybody else there's no money for their pay rises, it doesn't do very much for the dignity of Parliament, which it doesn't.
But aren't they underpaid, in fact?
Underpaid? Backbench MPs, darling. Being an MP is a vast subsidised ego trip. It's a job for which you need no qualifications, there are no compulsory hours of work, no performance standards. You get a warm room and subsidised meals for a bunch of self-opinionated windbags and busybodies. You suddenly find people taking them seriously because they've got the letters MP after their names. How can they be underpaid when there are about 200 applicants for every vacancy? You could fill every seat 20 times over, even if they had to pay to do the job.
You were a backbench MP only 5 years ago.
I was the exception. I was the cream. I rose to the top.
Do you think what you say will shut them up?
Who knows? But the public will never stand for MPs giving themselves a pay rise when we're having to cut back on nurses and teachers.
Nurses and teachers? Oh, that's a much more serious problem.
No, darling, much less serious. Nurses and teachers can't vote against me till the next election. Backbenchers can vote against me at 10 o'clock tonight. Humphrey, I've just had a very stormy meeting with my backbenchers.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I mean, if I'd had some warning, I could have softened them up a bit in advance. But the paper only arrived the night before Cabinet.
Oh, indeed, Prime Minister, most regrettable.
Well, it's up to you, Humphrey. You're Cabinet Secretary. You must insist that we get papers circulated earlier.
Alas, there are grave problems about circulating papers before they're written.
Why the sudden crisis? The Treasury must have seen it coming.
Prime Minister, I am not the permanent secretary to the Treasury. You must ask Sir Frank.
What would Sir Frank say?
It is not for a humble mortal such as I to speculate on the complex and elevated deliberations of the mighty. But in general, I think Sir Frank believes that if the Treasury knows that something has to be done, the Cabinet shouldn't have too much time to think about it.
But that's an outrageous view.
Yes, indeed. It's known as Treasury policy.
I suppose the Cabinet has questions.
Well, I think Sir Frank's view is that on the rare occasions when the Treasury understands the questions, the Cabinet doesn't understand the answers.
Prime Minister, I'm doing a paper on this civil service pay claim, but if it's really urgent, I can give you an immediate response.
Yes, please. What's your answer?
I haven't got an answer, more a series of questions.
What, for me?
For Sir Humphrey. The claim is clearly self-serving and inappropriate, and is significant for the questions it leaves unanswered.
Right, fire away.
All right, but I think you should treat this as highly confidential, or you'll never catch Humphrey out. First of all, you should ask what deduction...
Yes? Terrific.
George, that's for you, I think. All right for me to go in, Bernard?
Yes, Sir Humphrey, can I just mention one thing?
Yes? Bernard?
There has been movement.
On what subject?
On a subject on which the civil service hoped there would be no movement.
The civil service generally hopes there will be no movement on any subject.
Yes, Sir Humphrey, but what I mean is, it's in relation to a subject which is normally wholly and exclusively within the control of the civil service, that developments have developed.
You're speaking in riddles, Bernard.
Oh, thank you, sir.
That was not a compliment, Bernard. Make yourself clear, please.
I'm sorry, Sir Humphrey, my lips are sealed. I am referring confidentially to minutes that I was duty-bound to make of a confidential conversation between the Prime Minister and one of his confidential advisors.
Which advisor?
I'm sorry, Sir Humphrey, I'm not at liberty to divulge her name.
Thank you, Bernard. And this confidential advice was to do with the financial crisis, was it?
Oh, no, Sir Humphrey, much more important.
Not his silly nuclear strategy.
Much more important.
You don't mean the civil service pay claim. See, what do you advise, Bernard?
Well, I advise you consider your position carefully, perhaps adopting a more flexible posture, while keeping your ear to the ground, covering your retreat, and watching your rear.
Thank you, Bernard. You've been a great help.
Actually, Sir Humphrey, I haven't told you anything.
I should hope not, Bernard. That would have been most improper.
Prime Minister, Sir Humphrey's here.
Flexible.
Ah, Humphrey. Come in.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Tell me what you think of this. Oh, what do you make of it?
Well, it is rather a large document for an instant judgment.
You only have to read the one-page summary at the top.
Well, good.
Well?
Prime Minister, you place me in a very difficult position.
Do I, Humphrey? Now, look, I realise you have to have loyalty to your colleagues, but you also have a broader loyalty to Cabinet and its policy.
I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
You agree with me?
I agree with you.
I don't quite... Who do you agree with?
With you?
Not with Sir Frank.
No?
You're not arguing with me.
No? Perhaps I haven't made myself quite clear. I agree with you.
Well, what do you make of that pay claim?
Well, it's not excessive in itself, but at a time of national stringency, it is neither wise nor in the national interest. I don't like to criticize my colleague, but in my view, Sir Frank, though no doubt acting from the best of motives, should have placed the good of the nation before the narrower sectional interest of civil servants. You see, this claim raises serious questions.
That's interesting, because I've made a note of some questions too.
Aha. Good questions. Where do they come from?
Occurred to me.
Yes. Well, they're very good questions. Prime Minister.
Ah, Humphrey. Sherry?
Yes, thank you.
Humphrey, what's a modernist in the Church of England?
Ah, well, the word modernist is code for non-believer.
You mean an atheist?
No, Prime Minister. An atheist clergyman couldn't continue to draw his stipend. So, when they stop believing in God, they call themselves modernists.
How could the Church of England suggest an atheist as Bishop of Bury St Edmunds?
Well, very easily. The Church of England is primarily a social organisation, not a religious one.
Is it?
Oh, yes. It's part of the rich social fabric of this country. So bishops need to be the sort of chaps who speak properly, know which knife and fork to use. The sort of people one can look up to.
So that's what Peter meant when he said that Canon Stanford's wife was eminently suitable.
Of course. Cheers.
Is there really no other possible candidate?
Well, not really. There are a couple of better jobs available recently, you see.
What's better than a bishop? A rook?
Very droll. No, well, the Dean of Windsor is a better job, or Westminster. Such preferment enables one to be on intimate terms with the royals.
So being a bishop is just a matter of status. A question of dressing up in cassocks and gaiters.
Yes, though gaiters are now only worn at significant religious events, like the Royal Garden Party. Well, the church is trying to be more relevant.
To God?
No, of course not, Prime Minister. I meant relevant in sociological terms.
So the ideal candidate from the Church of England's point of view would be a cross between a socialite and a socialist.
Precisely.
Let me just interrupt. May I give you the career details of Canon Stanford?
Yes, please do.
Well, after theological college, he became chaplain to the Bishop of Sheffield. He moved on to be the diocesan advisor on ethnic communities and social responsibility. He also organised conferences on interface, and interface between Christians and Marxists, and between Christians and the women of Greenham Common. Then he went on to be the university chaplain at the University of Essex, then vice principal of a theological college, and is now, as you know, secretary to the Disarmament Committee of the British Council of Churches.
Has he ever been an ordinary vicar of a parish?
Good heavens, no, Prime Minister. Clergymen who want to be bishops try to avoid pastoral work.
So what you're saying is that Canon Stanford is a political troublemaker.
Well, not exactly, but it could be a thorn in your side on several issues. Strikes, public expenditure on welfare, inner cities, unemployment, defence. It's interesting, isn't it, that nowadays politicians want to talk about moral issues and bishops want to talk politics. And he'd speak with the authority of a bishop and as a member of the Lords.
He designed a new church in South London, and on the plans were places for dispensing orange juice, family planning, and organising demos. But no place for Holy Communion.
Are you serious?
Well, there was a dual-purpose hall in which you could hold a service.
And the church approved this?
Well, of course. You see, the church is run by theologians.
How do you mean?
Theology is a device for enabling agnostics to stay within the church.
I don't want Canon Stanford. What am I to do?
Well, you could turn both candidates down, but that would be exceptional and not advised.
Even though one of them wants to get God out of the Church of England and the other wants to get the Queen out?
Well, the Queen is inseparable from the Church of England.
What about God?
I think he's what's called an optional extra.
Good evening. News is just coming in that after 2 weeks in Qumran, the Dean of Bailey College, the Reverend Christopher Smythe, has succeeded in obtaining the release of Fiona McGregor, the British nurse held there in prison. Miss McGregor was being held awaiting a sentence of 40 lashes for the alleged crime of possessing a bottle of whiskey. Both she and the Dean are expected back in England tomorrow. And now for the rest of the news. The pound had another bad day.
So, it's true.
I can't believe it.
It's a disaster.
Disaster! Whose idea was it to send that meddling parson to Qumran?
Can't imagine. Bishop of Banbury, perhaps.
We have the situation completely under control at the Foreign Office.
Yes, of course you did.
We made our protest. The nurse would have been quietly flogged and stuffed into some Qumrani jail. And within a couple of weeks, the press would have forgotten about the whole thing.
Still, no real damage done.
Well, there's terrific damage to the Foreign Office. We've almost got agreement to set up a signals listening post in Qumran. We said we wouldn't make any more fuss about the nurse if they signed. Now we've lost our best bargaining counter.
Well, you could always find another nurse and plant a bottle of scotch on her.
I don't think we could do that.
No, it wouldn't be right.
No, it's too dangerous. Still, at least it's got that nurse's ghastly mother off my back. Yeah. She's been writing and phoning and telling the press that we haven't been doing anything.
Extraordinary.
And the press have taken her part. They've been going on about being more patriotic.
Extraordinary.
I've said a lot of unpleasant things about the Foreign Office, but we've never been accused of patriotism.
You know, sometimes I can't quite believe the newspaper's abject ignorance of diplomatic realities. But we may have a problem with the PM now, you know.
You mean because we advised him against sending the clergyman out there?
And because you advised the Foreign Secretary to tell the Cabinet that it was impossible to get that nurse released.
And we were right. If we left it to the Foreign Office, it would have been impossible.
But you see what's going to happen now. The press is going to say that the Church succeeds where the Foreign Office fails. And they're going to dig out all the old cuttings about ambassadors' Rolls Royces and £4 million embassies and school fees at Eton paid for by the taxpayer, and what does Britain get out of it all?
Don't.
Well, there you are.
I know what we'll do.
What?
We'll tell the press that it was the Prime Minister's initiative to send the Dean.
Oh, good idea. PM will enjoy taking the credit.
But you don't think there's any danger of the PM's denying it just because it isn't true, is there?
None at all.
And then for the Sundays, we'll leak the idea that the Foreign Office suggested it to him when we found all the diplomatic channels blocked.
Perfect. That way nobody gets the blame and everybody gets the credit.
Except the person who really thought it up.
Oh, well, I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind that he doesn't get the credit, whoever he is. Excuse me. Prime Minister.
Yes, Humphrey. There's something I want to talk to you about, something very secret.
Would it be easier if I wasn't here?
A few years ago, there was a security inquiry. Does the name Sir John Halstead ring a bell?
Yes, of course. In fact, I had to conduct the inquiry myself virtually.
And you didn't find evidence of anything incriminating?
Of course not. In the first place, John Halstead was one of us. We'd been friends for years. In the second place, the whole story was got up by the press. And in the third place, the whole object of internal security inquiries is to find no evidence.
Even if the security of the realm is at risk?
Prime Minister, if you really believe the security of the realm is at risk, you call in the special branch. Government security inquiries are only used for killing press stories. They're to enable the Prime Minister to stand up in the House and say, we've held a full inquiry and there is no evidence to substantiate these charges.
What if you had found something suspicious?
Well, Prime Minister, practically everything that happens in government is suspicious. I mean, the fact that you asked Bernard to leave us alone for a secret conversation might be construed as suspicious.
Indeed.
But in any case, the whole story was quite clearly a nonsense. Typical Fleet Street sensationalism.
So there's no possibility that Sir John Halstead was passing secrets to Moscow?
Impossible. Out of the question.
You'd stake your reputation on that?
Without hesitation.
I see. Well, I'm afraid I have to tell you that for a substantial part of his career, he was a Russian spy.
I don't believe it. Who says so?
He does. He left all his papers to the government, including a detailed confession. MI5 says it's absolutely true. Checks out all along the line.
But good Lord, he was
One of us?
Exactly. Well, this certainly leaves a lot of questions to be asked.
Yes, and I'm asking you the first of them. Why didn't you ask him a lot of questions? And why did the inquiry exonerate him, and so quickly?
Well, I've already told you. Anyway, we were very busy. But besides... Good Lord, you don't think... I mean, surely nobody suspect... What else was I expected to do?
You could have held a proper inquiry. After all, you had evidence of his surprisingly long stay in Yugoslavia.
Yes?
And shortly afterwards, several MI5 agents behind the Iron Curtain were rounded up and never seen again.
Yes.
He spent a lot of time with one particular interpreter.
And she turned out to be a Russian agent. Yes, we knew that. Most Yugoslav interpreters are Russian agents. Those who aren't with the CIA, that is.
You never followed it up?
But I had better things to do with my time.
3 months later, she moved to England and settled in Cambridge, 150 yards from Sir John Halstead's own house. They were neighbours for the next 11 years.
Crikey. You can't check up on everything. You never know what you might find. I mean, if you've got that sort of suspicious mind, you ought to...
Hold security inquiries?
Yeah, no. John gave me his word, Halstead. The word of a gentleman.
Anyway, Humphrey, I have a problem.
Problem?
You.
Me? You don't think... You couldn't think... I don't speak a word of Russian.
Well, you must admit it was either incompetence or collusion.
Collusion! I give you my word, Prime Minister, it wasn't collusion.
The word of a gentleman?
Exactly. An Oxford gentleman.
You've been briefed by MI5?
Indeed, Prime Minister.
Bad business.
Unfortunate.
Disastrous, I'd say.
Oh, not disastrous. Surely it will never come out.
You mean things are only disastrous if people find out about them?
Of course.
Even if the Cabinet Secretary is a spy?
But I'm happy to say that is not the case.
How can you be so sure?
MI5 have just come across this in the Halstead papers from his private diary.
Another session with that prize goof, Appleby. Fooled him completely. He never asked any of the difficult questions. Didn't seem to have read the MI5 report. So much wool in his head, it's child's play to pull it over his eyes. That certainly
exonerates Sir Humphrey.
Arnold, can't tell you how happy this makes me.
Shall I...
No. I'll keep this.
Then I take it there's really nothing for me to investigate after all.
Well, apparently not on security grounds.
Good. Then in that case, I'll take up no more of your time.
Hold on. There's still the question of incompetence.
Well, of course, Prime Minister, we all make mistakes.
Well, not on that scale. Do you think I should sack him?
I hardly think so.
Why not? Don't you think civil servants should ever be sacked?
If they deserve it, of course they should, in principle, but not in practice.
Why not?
There would have to be an inquiry, and all inquiries into the incompetence of civil servants somehow seem to lead back to mistakes by ministers.
On second thoughts, leave it with me.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Sir Humphrey's outside.
Show him in, Bernard. Show him in. Ah, Goofy. I'm happy to tell you that you've been cleared of spying.
How?
Something Sir John Halstead wrote.
Oh, that's very gratifying.
Isn't it? I knew you'd be pleased.
May one see the document?
One certainly may. Better still, one can have it read to one. May the 28th. Another session with that prize goof, Appleby. Fooled him completely.
Yes, I see. Well, thank you, Prime Minister.
No. Goes on, Humphrey. Clears you even more. He never asked any of the difficult questions. Didn't seem to have read the MI5
yes, well,
report.
that's quite clear. Thank
so
you very
much
much
wool in his head, it's child's play to pull it over his eyes. Isn't it wonderful? You must be a very happy man.
I always said Halstead was a hopeless judge of character.
You mean we can't believe this? He was lying?
Oh, no, absolutely true. True, that is in the sense of... You see, he wasn't bright enough to understand subtle questioning techniques, the non-confrontational approach.
You lulled him into a true sense of security.
No.
Get me the chief whip, Bernard.
Yes, Prime Minister. Get me the chief whip.
Now.
Now. Oh, hello, Chief Whip. Are you in number 12? Well, the Prime Minister wants to see you urgently.
Now.
Now! Thank you. It's Humphrey.
Oh, yes, Bernard.
I'm very troubled by what I've just learned.
What is that?
Well, I feel as if I've been walking about with my eyes shut. I never realized that there was a cabinet plot against the Prime Minister.
Is there? How interesting.
But you said there was.
I said nothing, Bernard, nothing at all.
You mean, oh. Well, do you know if there is a plot?
No?
No, there isn't, or no, you don't know?
Yes.
Sir Humphrey, what exactly has the Employment Secretary done?
Nothing as yet, Bernard, and we must keep it that way.
But isn't his plan rather a good one?
For whom?
The country.
That is hardly the point. Why not? Bernard, when you move on from here, where do you plan to go?
Well, I don't know.
Well, how would you like to be Deputy Secretary in charge of defence procurement?
Oh, gosh.
In Sunderland, or Berwick-on-Tweed, or Lossiemouth.
Is that a place?
Lossiemouth? What do you think it was?
A dog food.
Well, if the Employment Secretary has his way, you may get a 3-year diet of Lossiemouth yourself. You see?
Crikey, yes.
So how can it be good for the country?
Well, it couldn't possibly. But why did you suggest sending for the Chief Whip? To confirm a plot that doesn't exist?
Because he's bound to hedge. The Chief Whip cannot categorically state that there's no plot against the Prime Minister, just in case there is. He has to cover himself. Oh, good morning, Chief Whip.
Good morning. Could you wait in the private office?
Certainly. Bernard? Now, go in there and inform me of their conversation.
Well, I'm not sure I can do that, Sir Humphrey. It might be confidential.
Bernard, the matter at issue is the defence of the realm and the stability of the government.
But you only need to know things on a need-to-know basis.
I need to know everything. How else can I judge whether or not I need to know it?
So that means you need to know things even when you don't need to know them. You need to know them not because you need to know them, but because you need to know whether or not you need to know. And if you don't need to know, you still need to know so that you know that there was no need to know.
Yes.
Good. That's very clear. Chief Whip, Prime Minister.
Morning, Prime Minister.
How are things going, Chief Whip?
Oh, quite well, really. Why?
I mean, you've noticed nothing?
Well, it's a difficult time. A bit of unrest on the back benches. What did you have in mind, precisely?
A plot? A leadership challenge?
Ah. Yes. Well, actually, I have no real evidence of anything.
But you have suspicions.
Oh, I always have suspicions.
How far has it gone?
Only a very
Early stage?
early stage. As far as one can tell.
Do you think you ought to have a word with him? Tell him I know what's going on. I don't want to lose him from the cabinet. I just want him under control.
Perhaps you should have a word with him yourself.
No, not at this stage. Who else is involved?
Apart from...
Apart from Dudley, obviously.
Dudley? Yes, of course, apart from Dudley. Well, apart from Dudley... Well, it's a bit early to say. I mean, there may be nothing in it.
Geoffrey, I'm not taking any risks.
No, absolutely not. Now, I'll go and make a few more inquiries.
Prime Minister, this proposal to send defence establishments up to the north is bound to be leaked to the press, isn't it?
Oh, bound to be.
Well, if it were leaked as the Employment Secretary's plan, I agree it would confirm your suspicions, but I'm sure it will go out as a government plan.
Are you? I'm not.
Ah, the evening paper.
God! Look! Swine! There's your proof, Humphrey.
Good heavens, I'm astonished.
Sources in Whitehall report that this imaginative plan, an initiative by the Secretary of State for Employment, has been blocked by the Prime Minister. How dare he? Dare he? I'm
Speechless.
speechless. I backed him all along the line. I fought for this soddy little plan of his. I gave him his first cabinet post. I've treated him like a son. This is the thanks I get.
How sharper than a serpent's tooth it is to have a thankless cabinet colleague.
It's envy, you know. Dudley is consumed with envy.
It's one of the 7 Dudley sins.
Yes, thank you. Prime Minister, shall we start to draft your letter accepting his resignation?
Well, it's not as simple as that. He'll deny that he leaked, so why am I sacking him? Besides, he's even more dangerous on the back benches than he is as a minister. A sacked minister doesn't even have to pretend to be loyal.
So you mean you'll go ahead with his plan?
No, I can't. Not now. It'll look as though he's defeated me. I can't risk that. It's a good plan. So, perhaps... no, I...
Prime Minister, you're not being indecisive, are you?
No. No, I just can't make up my mind.
Well, perhaps I can help.
How?
Well, technically, of course, I shouldn't be showing you this.
Why not? I'm Prime Minister, aren't I?
Indeed you are. That's why I shouldn't be showing it to you. It's a Ministry of Defence draft internal paper. The Secretary of Defence hasn't seen it yet. But as you will see, it casts grave doubts on the Employment Secretary's plan.
Does it?
It points out that many of the valuable buildings he quotes can't in practice be sold. Some are listed. Some have strict planning controls. The cost of the move would be prohibitive. It would create massive unemployment in the home counties and East Anglia. And in Part 3, there are pages and pages of objections on the grounds of military strategy.
And all this is absolutely honest and accurate?
It comes from the Ministry of Defence.
Even so, it could be honest and accurate. You know, I think the public has a right to know this.
It is a top-secret document. On the other hand, the service chiefs are notorious for their indiscretion.
Notorious?
It could well find its way into the hands of some irresponsible journalist.
Quite. Or several irresponsible
Several
journalists. Of course, I could never be a party to anything like that.
Certainly not. So, Prime Minister, shall we defer further discussion of the Employment Secretary's plan to an unspecified future date?
Yeah, let's drop it.
Prime Minister, meanwhile, I'll go and attend to the plumbing.
When's he going to leak it?
Did I ask for a leak, Bernard?
Well, not in so many... No, you didn't.
No, I didn't. I occasionally have confidential press briefings, but I have never leaked.
Oh, that's another of those irregular verbs, isn't it? I give confidential press briefings, you leak. He's been charged under Section 2A of the Official Secrets Act. Sir Humphrey?
Yes, Bernard.
Have you got a moment?
Yes, Bernard.
I've got a problem.
Yes, Bernard.
You know?
Yes, Bernard.
How?
Because you've just told me, Bernard.
I mean, do you know what my problem is?
Your problem is, Bernard, that you don't ever come to the point.
Yes, sorry. Well, the Prime Minister just had lunch with Derek Burnham, the editor of...
Yes, I know he is, Bernard.
Yes, and the Prime Minister told him that the minutes of Cabinet Committee confirm that he didn't try to suppress Chapter 8 of the book, and that he would publish them if necessary to prove that he didn't.
So what is your problem?
Well, the minutes aren't written yet.
I see.
So, what should I do?
Write them, dear Bernard.
Yes, well, the problem is the Prime Minister did try to suppress the chapter, didn't he?
I don't know, did he?
Well, didn't he? Don't you remember?
What I remember is irrelevant, Bernard. If the minutes don't say that he did, then he didn't.
So you want me to falsify the minutes?
I want nothing of the sort. It's up to you, Bernard. What do you want?
I want to have a clear conscience.
A clear conscience?
Yes.
When did you acquire this taste for luxuries? Consciences are for politicians, Bernard. We are humble functionaries whose duty it is to implement the commands of our democratically elected representatives. How could we possibly be doing anything wrong if it is being commanded by those who represent the people?
Well, I can't accept that, Sir Humphrey. No man is an island.
I agree, Bernard. No man is an island entire of itself, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee, Bernard.
So what do you suggest, Sir Humphrey?
Bernard, the minutes do not record everything that was said at a meeting, do they?
Well, no, of course not.
And people change their minds during a meeting, don't they?
Well, yes.
So the actual meeting is a massive ingredients for you to choose from.
Oh, like cooking?
No, not like cooking. Better not to use that word in connection with books or minutes. You choose from a jumble of ill-digested ideas a version which represents the Prime Minister's views as he would, on reflection, have liked them to emerge.
But if it's not a true record...
The purpose of minutes is not to record events, it is to protect people. You do not take notes if the Prime Minister says something he did not mean to say, particularly if it contradicts something he has said publicly. You try to improve on what has been said, to put it in a better order. You are tactful.
But how do I justify that?
You are his servant.
Oh, yes.
A minute is a note for the records and a statement of action, if any, that was agreed upon. Now, what happened at the meeting in question?
Well, the book was discussed, and the Solicitor General advised there were no legal grounds for suppressing it.
And did the Prime Minister accept what the Solicitor General had said?
Well, he accepted the fact there were no legal grounds for suppression, but...
He accepted the fact that there were no legal grounds for suppression. You see?
Oh.
Is that a lie?
No.
Can you write it in the minutes?
Yes.
How is your conscience?
Much better, thank you, sir.
Yes, Bernard?
Have you got a moment?
Yes, Bernard.
I've got a problem.
Get on, Bernard.
Yes, well, it's just that, I've just been interviewed by the press.
You gave an interview?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Well, that's not your job.
Well, I know, I couldn't help it. It just happened. They just trapped me into speaking to them.
What did you say?
Nothing, really.
Well, what's your problem?
Well, they were asking me about you.
What about me?
About you and the Official Secrets Act.
And?
Whether you were bound by it.
Of course I'm bound.
Yes, of course you are. But it might not come out like that.
What do you mean?
Well, thinking back on what I said and what they said, and what I said you said, what they may say I said you said, or what they may have thought I said I thought you thought. Well, they may say I said I thought you said, you thought...
Go on, Bernard.
Well, I think I said you thought you were above the law.
You said that?
Well, not intentionally. That's just the way it came out. I'm terribly sorry. They were just asking me all these questions.
Bernard, just because people ask you questions, what makes you think you have to answer them?
Well, I don't know.
You've never answered my questions just because I asked you.
Well, I know.
After a lifetime in the civil service, an entire career devoted to avoiding questions, you suddenly decide to answer them today, and to the press, you must have flipped your lid, Bernard.
Please don't shout at me, Prime Minister. I assure you I won't answer any more questions ever again.
Get Humphrey and Bill in here.
Will you send Sir Humphrey in, please, and Bill Pritchard?
And if this question should ever arise again, Bernard, this is how you deal with questions. If you have nothing to say, say nothing. Better still, have something to say and say it, no matter what they ask. Pay no attention to the question, just make your own statement. And then if they ask the question again, what you say is, that's not the question. Or, I think the real question is, and then you make another statement of your own. Well, how's that leak inquiry coming on?
Well, Prime Minister, the wheels will be turning very soon.
Very soon? I asked you a week ago. What's the matter with you two?
I'm sorry, Prime Minister, I had no idea you were serious. Leak inquiries are not usually pursued.
Well, I want this one pursued. Rigorously and immediately.
Rigorously?
And immediately.
Immediately?
Immediately.
Oh. What? Do you mean you really want it pursued?
What's the lips move, Humphrey? I want it pursued. Now.
Very well, Prime Minister, if you're serious, I will arrange a genuine arm's-length inquiry if that's what you really want. I'll get Inspector Plod of the Special Branch.
Thanks. Now, we have to do something to improve our relations with the press, which have deteriorated considerably today. Since my esteemed private secretary saw fit to tell them that I felt myself to be above the law when it came to official secrets. Yes, you may well hang your head, Bernard.
Yes, I've spoken to the Home Office. They say there's no possible grounds to pass an Act of Parliament to allow this particular dog into Britain. I know an enabling act can enable anything, but the Prime Minister feels it would merely enable him to lose the next election.
Have you thought about turning the whole of Buckingham Palace into a quarantine zone for dogs?
Are you serious?
Just a thought.
What about the corgis?
Oh.
Hang on. Graham, phone the palace now and check that Her Majesty's not been told officially that this gift has been proposed. Then she can't be implicated in refusing it, yes. Yes, we will want simultaneous translators. No, not when the PM meets the leaders of the English-speaking nations. Yes, the English-speaking nations can be said to include the United States. A certain generosity of spirit. Sorry, I've got to go. Yes. Yes, there are about 10 Prime Ministers flying in today. Special Branch are going crazy. So is the band of the Royal Marines, who've got to play all the national anthems. Oh, I see. Thanks. Argentina's not coming. That's a bit of luck.
Because of the Falklands?
No, because their anthem goes on for about 6 minutes. Yeah. Look, I know you're worried about this dog. I'm worried about it too. Look, talk to our ambassador in Paris. See if he can think of a way to nobble it. Well, you know, slip it something. See if the Bulgarians have got any spare umbrella tip.
But there is one possibility. Make Buckingham Palace notionally an extension of the French embassy. Then the dog would still be on foreign territory.
Peter, the PM is fighting for the sovereignty of the Channel Tunnel. How do you think he feels about the sovereignty of Buck House? How do you think the sovereign feels about the sovereignty of Buck House? Yes. No, we can't have alphabetical seating in the Abbey. You'd have Iraq and Iran next to each other. Plus Israel and Jordan all sitting in the same pew. We'd be in danger of starting World War III. I know Ireland begins with an I, but no. Ireland doesn't make it any better. Ireland doesn't make anything any better. And by the way, make sure everyone knows if the papal envoy says we desire to wash our hands, it means he wants to go and have a pee. Yes, a royal wee. Followed by a royal flush. Oh, and watch out for these South Africans.
Problems with human rights?
No, they're trying to unload more grapefruit.
Bernard, the palace wants to know if there's a problem about the red carpets, and Her Majesty is worried that the President of the Ivory Coast wishes to award her with the Order of the Elephant.
Hang on. Graham, we can't have another animal, especially an elephant. The whole of Whitehall, the Home Office, Foreign Office, Cabinet Office, the DHSS, we've all been tied up with one puppy for nearly a week. Government's been paralysed. No elephants. No, the correct mode of address to a Cypriot Archbishop is not your ecstasy, it's your beatitude. For God's sake, yes, what is it? Oh, sorry, Prime Minister. I'll come in straight away.
What on earth is that, Bernard?
Oh, it's the Channel Tunnel file, Prime Minister.
No, the other one.
That's the puppy file.
Where have we got to with that?
Well, it weighed in at £3.5 this morning.
The puppy?
No, the file.
No, but what's happening?
Well, at the moment, we've told the French that airport security will reluctantly have to impound the puppy and keep it in quarantine at Heathrow.
What do they say?
Well, they haven't replied yet. We did point out it was on the route from Buckingham Palace to Windsor, so the Queen will be able to visit it on the way.
Can you visit quarantine dogs?
Well, if she can't, she can sort of wave to it as she drives down the M.
What do you think they're going to do?
Well, I presume they'll threaten to publish the story if we don't give in on the Channel Tunnel.
Prime Minister, forgive me. I have urgent news.
I hope it's good news.
Well, yes and no. The police have just found a bomb in the grounds of the French embassy.
What? Who put it there?
Well, we don't know yet. Lots of people could have a motive.
Yeah, me for a start. Prime Minister, you need to see this security file immediately.
Not now, Bernard. I'm about to talk to the French president.
Yes, but you should see this file first.
That bomb in the French embassy, Prime Minister, it was planted there by the French police.
You're not serious. Why?
Oh, to see if they could catch us out, to prove our security inefficient.
Smuggling explosives into the UK illegally?
That's correct.
Have you got proof of this?
We found a matching detonator in their hotel. They've confessed.
This is wonderful. Humphrey, give me 2 minutes alone with the President, and then when I give you a signal, bring that file in. Right.
Oh, Prime Minister, what will the signal be?
I'm so sorry, Monsieur le Président. I'm sure he's just coming.
Monsieur le Président. The tunnel.
The tunnel, indeed. But first of all, can we clear up this silly misunderstanding about the little puppy which I am presenting as a return gift to Her Majesty tomorrow?
No, there's no misunderstanding. I'm very sorry, but I can't ask the Queen to break the law.
I do not want the Queen to break the law. I merely ask the Prime Minister to bend it.
I'm deeply sorry, if I possibly could.
If the French people learn of this rejection, a national slap in the face.
The tunnel.
The tunnel. But you make it very difficult for me. The French people will not accept a second slap in the face. And you are rejecting our very reasonable proposal for French sovereignty as far as Dover. However, setting that to one side, there is the question of which shall be la langue de préférence, the first language.
Sir Humphrey, I have just seen this order of service for tomorrow. It is deeply embarrassing. This here.
On Jordan's bank, the Baptists cry.
What? Don't you know the Jordan Bank went bust yesterday?
But surely, if we have half the signs in French first and half the signs in English, that's fair?
It's not logical.
Does logic matter?
Does law matter?
Oh, yes. Britain is the only country in Europe still free of rabies.
I'm so sorry. The Bernard will handle this for you. Bernard, excuse me. Monsieur le Président, will you please forgive me? Prime Minister, I think you ought to see this urgently.
No, I don't believe it. Mr. President, I shall have to ask you to explain this. You need hardly say how grave this matter is.
Prime Minister, I must ask you to believe that I had no knowledge of this.
An attempt by a guest to deceive Her Majesty's government? Illegally smuggling explosives into the UK?
But you must know that the French government never knows what French security are doing.
You mean you're not able to take responsibility for them?
No, that's not what I mean, but if this report is true, I must ask you to accept my profound regrets.
It's true enough, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you. You see, it makes it so difficult for the Prime Minister over the Channel Tunnel.
When news of this bomb is published, the British people will want to make very few concessions.
They won't know whether it's safe to go through.
It could be full of official French bombs.
Absolutely.
Of course, in the interests of Anglo-French friendship, we could perhaps overlook the crimes of your security men.
I suppose sovereignty halfway across?
I'll just write that down, if I may.
Half the signs in English first and the starting ceremony in 2 months. In Dover.
Morning, Prime Minister. Is it the newspapers?
Yes. They all say that since my administration came into office, nothing has changed.
You must be very proud.
Now, that's not meant as a compliment, Bernard. I read all 10 of this morning's London newspapers. There's not a good word about me in 9 of them.
But the 10th is better.
10th is worse, doesn't mention me at all.
What have they got against you this morning?
Well, basically they all say the same thing. That I'm a windbag.
Good heavens.
Yeah. Extraordinary, isn't it? They say that my administration's all rhetoric, that I talk and talk, but nothing ever gets done. Simply isn't true. There are many reforms in the pipeline, great new change of direction, great new schemes of development, a whole new philosophy of government, profound change in the whole social fabric and geopolitical climate of this country.
So what is actually happening?
Nothing yet, obviously.
Oh, that'll be Sir Humphrey.
Let us send him in.
Sir Humphrey. I suppose the origin of this criticism is this rumour about another big scandal in the city.
How did you guess? Oh, Humphrey, I've decided to respond to all this criticism about a scandal in the city. The press is demanding action.
What are you proposing to do?
I shall appoint someone.
And when did you take this momentous decision?
Today, when I read the papers.
But when did you first think of it?
Today, when I read the papers.
And for how long, may I ask, did you weigh the pros and cons of this decision?
Not long. I decided to be decisive.
Prime Minister, if I may say, I think you worry too much about what the papers say.
Only a civil servant could have made that remark, Bernard. I have to worry about them, particularly with the party conference coming up. These rumours of a scandal just won't go away, you know.
Well, let's not worry about it until it becomes something more than a rumour. I'd just like to show you the cabinet agenda.
No, not just now, Humphrey. This is rather more important.
With respect, Prime Minister, it is not. The only way to understand the press is to remember that they pander to their readers' prejudices.
Don't tell me about the press. I know exactly who reads the papers. The Daily Mirror is read by people who think they run the country. The Guardian is read by people who think they ought to run the country. The Times is read by the people who actually do run the country. The Daily Mail is read by the wives of the people who run the country. The Financial Times is read by people who own the country. The Morning Star is read by people who think the country ought to be run by another country. And the Daily Telegraph is read by people who think it is.
And Prime Minister, what about the people who read The Sun?
Sun readers don't care who runs the country as long as she's got big tits.
Yes?
Sir Humphrey, the Prime Minister wonders if you could join him in 5 minutes.
Yes, certainly, Bernard. Bernard?
Yes.
Any news yet about the governorship of the Bank of England?
Well, the Prime Minister is planning to appoint Alexander Jameson, Mr. Clean. So that's one bit of good news.
It's appalling news.
Oh, are you going to try and change the Prime Minister's mind?
No. I'm going to change the Prime Minister's mind.
Well, he seems very keen on him.
I know, so that'll be my starting point. When you wish to suggest that somebody is perhaps not the ideal choice...
You rubbish them?
The first stage is to express absolute support.
Why?
Because you don't want to go on record as saying somebody is no good. You must be seen to be their friend. After all, it is necessary to get behind someone before you can stab them in the back.
But Alexander Jameson is good. He's extremely honest and efficient.
Excellent. So that's the second stage. You list all his praiseworthy qualities, especially those that make him unsuitable for the job. And then you praise them to the point where they become a vice. That's the third stage. Or, better still, you oversimplify his views by labelling them, as you just did.
You mean Mr. Clean?
Yes. But I think we can do better than that. Do sit down, Bernard. Now, isn't he a churchgoer?
Yes, I believe he was once a lay preacher, a long time ago.
Splendid news. We can certainly use that against him. What a charming man. Hasn't an enemy in the world. But is he really up to dealing with some of those rogues in the city?
Well, that won't wash. Jameson's pretty tough.
Then we'll say he's too tough. That's the fourth stage. You name all his bad points by defending and excusing them. You know, it probably doesn't matter that he was a conscientious objector. I'm sure that nobody's really questioned his patriotism. Or I think the criticisms of him for bankrupting his last company weren't entirely fair.
Well, that would certainly do it.
Well, if it doesn't, you can always hint at a hidden scandal. If he's not married, hint at homosexuality.
If he is married?
Adultery. With a lady who is beyond reproach, one of the royals, for instance. Or a television newsreader.
Well, what if he's obviously happily married?
Well, then say he's extremely puritanical, or he drinks, or he's having psychiatric treatment. Really, Bernard, the possibilities are endless. Listen and learn, Bernard.
Yeah. Sir Humphrey.
Oh, my dear lady, how very nice to meet you. Do come in. Now, won't you come and sit down? Now... right. Would you get Miss Morehouse a cup of tea? Or is it Mrs. Morehouse?
Is my marital status really your concern?
No. It's just, I was just really worried about whether the... would you get, her a cup of tea? Now, what should I call you, Mrs. Morehouse?
You can call me Agnes. What
Agnes.
shall I call you?
You can call me Sir Humphrey. Now, my dear lady.
I'm not your dear lady. Don't patronise me and cut out the sexist crap, OK?
Okay, Agnes. Now, the reason I wanted us to have this little meeting was because I wanted us to try and understand one another. Basically, I'm sure we're in agreement.
Really?
Yeah, well, obviously you have your own views about how Britain should be run, but I'm sure we agree on a fundamental basis of order and authority.
That's half true.
Half true?
You agree, I don't.
Well, it's obvious.
It's obvious if you got it made under the present system, then you want to use authority to preserve your privileges. But what about the homeless? What about the unemployed? What about the poor people?
Oh, yes, I know all about them.
Really? What do you know?
Well, I've read all the published papers. I've seen all the statistics. I've read all the official reports. Believe me, dearly, Agnes, dear, I do know all about them.
Fine. What does half a pound of margarine cost? What does half a pound of margarine cost?
Oh, how should I know? 20p.
20p?
Well, £2.40, I don't know.
Right. Why should you? What time do Social Security offices open?
What are they?
How long can you run a one-bar fire with 50 pence in the meter?
I'm not entirely sure I follow.
Of course you don't. If you knew that sort of thing, you wouldn't agree about using authority to support the system.
Look, I do understand. I do sympathise. It'd be marvellous if there's no poverty, but we just don't have the resources to achieve that.
Who hasn't?
The nation.
Really? Does this desk belong to the nation? This china?
Porcelain.
These portraits? Or are they your own?
Of course not, the government property.
Oh, good. They should fetch about, what, 80,000? That should keep 20-odd one-parent families for a year. Then what about your salary?
That has nothing to do with it.
Good. Then we'll have that too. Give you £100 a week, that's 70,000 a year for the needy.
Look, my salary is merely part of a complex economic structure.
Good, we'll simplify it. After all, you don't want to make a profit out of serving your country, do you?
Ah, tea. Over here, I think. Very nice, thank you so much. Shall I be mother? Tell me, Agnes, this policy of yours of only allowing free-range eggs to be sold in your borough, how does this help poverty?
Animals have rights too, you know. A battery chicken's life isn't worth living. Would you want to spend your life packed in with 600 other desperate, squawking, smelly creatures, unable to breathe fresh air, unable to move, unable to stretch, unable to think?
Certainly not. That's why I never stood for Parliament. Bernard, I want to have a word with you about Professor Marriott's article.
Yes, I think it's about time we reform local government.
Do you, Bernard?
Yes. At least I think I did. That is, I'm not wholly against it. Although there are many convincing, some might say conclusive arguments against it.
Some might indeed, Bernard.
Yes. Why?
Because, Bernard, once you create genuinely democratic local communities, it won't stop there.
Won't it?
Well, of course it won't. You see, once they get established, they'll insist on more power. And the politicians will be too frightened to withhold them, so you'll get regional government.
Would that matter?
Bernard, come sit down. Bernard, what happens at the moment if there is some vacant land in, say, Nottingham, and there are rival proposals for its use? You know, a hospital, a college, or an airport.
Well, we set up an interdepartmental committee. Department of Health, Department of Education, Department of Transport, Treasury, Environment. Ask for papers, hold meetings, propose, discuss, revise, report back, redraft, normal thing.
Precisely. Months of fruitful work. Leading to a mature and responsible conclusion. But if you have regional government, they decide it all in Nottingham. Probably in a couple of meetings, complete amateurs.
It is their city.
And what happens to us?
Well, much less work.
Yes, much less work. So little that ministers might almost be able to do it on their own. So we'd have much less power.
Well, I don't know whether I really want power.
Bernard, If the right people don't have power, do you know what happens? The wrong people get it. Politicians, councillors, ordinary voters.
But aren't they supposed to in a democracy?
This is a British democracy,
How do you mean?
British democracy recognizes that you need a system to protect the important things of life and keep them out of the hands of the barbarians. Things like the opera, Radio 3, the countryside, the law, the universities, both of them. And we are that system. Gosh, we run a civilized, aristocratic government machine tempered by occasional general elections. Since 1832, we have been gradually excluding the voter from government. Now, we've got them to a point where they just vote once every 5 years for which bunch of buffoons will try to interfere with our policies, and you are happy to see all that thrown away.
No, I didn't mean...
Bernard, do you want the Lake District turned into a gigantic caravan site? The Royal Opera House into a bingo hall? The National Theatre into a carpet sale warehouse?
Well, it looks like one, actually.
We gave the architect a knighthood so that nobody would ever say that. Do you want Radio 3 to broadcast pop music 24 hours a day? And how would you feel if they took all the culture programs off television?
I don't know, I never watched them.
Well, neither do I, but it's vital to know that they're there.
But you always said local government was corrupt and incompetent.
Well, so it is, Bernard. So corrupt and incompetent that even ministers recognize it.
So what about next year's Arts Council grant? Are they going to get the extra 30 million?
Oh, my dear Simon, I couldn't disclose the figure in advance, least of all to the managing director of the National Theatre.
Have some of these.
Excuse me.
Only 6? You're not serious.
I'm afraid that's the new diet. 6 breadsticks is the absolute maximum.
Is that gross breadsticks or net breadsticks?
Net breadsticks.
So what are we going to get to the National? Only one. That's disastrous. How can they expect us to manage on £1.5 million?
I don't know where you got that figure from.
You've got to help me. What can I do?
You mean, if the grant figure, which of course we do not yet know, were to be not merely less than you told the press was the absolute minimum to stave off disaster, but lower even than the real minimum required to stave off disaster?
Yes.
Well, I'm afraid I can't help you, even though I'm on the board. Let me be quite clear about this, Simon. I am here to represent the Prime Minister's interest. Now, there are certain things which would gravely upset him. I must urge you on his behalf not to contemplate them.
Good. What are they?
Well, you'll be making the speech introducing him at the awards dinner. It would be a courtesy to send a draft to number 10 in advance.
For approval?
Well, let's say for information. Now, the Prime Minister is extremely anxious that the speech should not refer to the modesty of the grant increase. There are certain words that he would like you to avoid. Miserly, Philistine, barbarism, skinflint, killjoy. He would also like you to avoid all reference to how much more other countries spend on the arts.
What are the figures?
There you are. To make sure you don't mention them by mistake.
I certainly won't mention them by mistake.
And thirdly, and most important of all, he wants absolutely no comparison between the extra money your theatre needs and certain sums that the government spent last year on certain projects.
Such as?
Well, let's say the figure were to be 4 million, purely as an example, of course. Now, the Prime Minister earnestly hopes that your speech will not refer to the fact that the government spent $5 million on radar equipment for a fighter plane that had already been scrapped, or that the Department of Energy had been able to afford to stockpile 1,000 years' supply of filing tabs, or that another department had stocked up with 1 million tins of Vim, etc., etc., etc.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was delicious.
Yes. He never even goes to the theatre, does he?
Well, he can't really. He's frightened of giving the cartoonist and gossip columnist too much ammunition. You see, he couldn't go to a month in the country for fear of starting rumours about a general election, and he couldn't go to your marvellous production of The Rivals because there have been so many cabinet ministers after his job, and he couldn't go to the School for Scandal. Well, not after the Education Secretary had been found in bed with that married primary school headmistress. Prime Minister,
Yes.
Do forgive me, gentlemen. You remember Simon Monk, don't you?
Mr. Monk, yes.
This is very bad news about the grant, Prime Minister.
Surely not. It's gone up.
Nothing like enough.
Well, enough for it to be unnecessary for you to...
I'm afraid not.
Oh, because I was hoping to do something really significant next year. You remember your saying that you had to spend nearly half your grant on the upkeep of the buildings?
Yes.
Well, I have a plan that should relieve you of that.
Really? Oh, that would be marvellous.
Yeah, wouldn't it? And it'd make the National Theatre really national, too.
What do you mean?
I'm thinking of selling the National Theatre.
Selling it?
I knew you'd be pleased. That way we can save $3 million on upkeep.
Prime Minister, this is impossible.
No, it's quite easy, actually. We've had a terrific offer for the site.
But the National Theatre must have a base.
And so it will. You could have inexpensive offices in Brixton or Toxteth. Middlesbrough.
What about the theatres? What about the workshops?
Well, you could hire them like any other company. Put on your productions in the West End, or the Old Vic, or the provincial theatres. Become strolling players again, instead of civil servants.
Be disastrous.
Oh, surely not. Didn't you say that the theatre was about plays and actors, not bricks and mortar?
Oh, yes, but that was... Look, the National Theatre must have a home.
And so it will. Lots of homes. All subsidised theatres would be called national theatres. There'd be the National Theatre at Glasgow, the National Theatre at Sheffield, the National Theatre at Bristol, and so on. And that $3 million could help them all. You'd just be the London branch of the National Theatre. I should think that would be very popular with the whole profession.
Barbarism.
What, spending money on actors instead of buildings?
Yes. Well, no.
Anyway, it's just one of my options. I may decide against it, or I may not. I could outline it in my speech, if necessary. It all depends.
On?
Oh, changing the subject, have you decided what you're going to say in your speech yet?
Yes. Not finally.
Because I wondered if those jokes about government waste were really very funny. Of course, it's your decision. I'm sure you understand me.
Mr. Prime Minister, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, pray silence for Simon Monk, Esquire, the Managing Director of the National Theatre.
Mr. Prime Minister, my lords, ladies and gentlemen. You will have read this morning of the grant for the Arts Council and the National Theatre. I know many of us are disappointed by the amount. Of course, we would have all liked it to have been larger, but apparently this is a time of national stringency, and we must think in terms of national needs. There are many calls on the public purse. Education, inner cities, health, kidney machines. I think we should be glad that any increase at all has been possible, and grateful to our guest of honour, whose personal intervention made even this small breadstick possible. Increase. Ladies and gentlemen, to our guest of honour, the patron of the arts, the Prime Minister.
My lords, ladies and gentlemen, the toast is...
Excellent speech, don't you think, Humphrey?
The patron of the arts, the Prime Minister!
Yes, Prime Minister.
He can see you now. Sir Humphrey, he's very worried that he seems responsible for something he can't change.
Yes, I'm sure. Responsibility without power, the prerogative of the eunuch throughout the ages.
Good morning, Humphrey. What was that you were saying?
Oh, nothing, Prime Minister. I understand that you're worried about the local education authority.
No, Humphrey, I'm worried about the Department of Education and Science.
Indeed. In my opinion, the DES does a splendid job.
Be that as it may, look what's happened to education in this country. This is a question from a religious studies paper. Which do you prefer, atom bombs or charity? Maths is becoming politicised. If it costs £5 billion a year to maintain Britain's nuclear defences and £75 a year to feed a starving African child, how many African children could be saved from starvation if the Ministry of Defence abandoned nuclear weapons?
That's easy, none. They'd spend it all on conventional weapons. In any case, it's just a sum. 5 billion divided by 75.
But the children aren't learning how to do the sums.
No, indeed, but the local education authorities might argue that they don't need to. They all have pocket calculators.
But they all need to know how it's done. Look, we were all taught basic arithmetic, weren't we?
Were we? What's 3,947 divided by 73?
I'd need a pencil and paper to do that. No, never mind that. I could do it when I left school.
But now you'd use a calculator.
That's not the point. I mean, look at Latin. Hardly anybody knows that nowadays.
Tempora mutanta nos et mutamur in illis. Times change and we change with the times.
Oh, precisely.
Si tacuisse is philosophus mensis is.
What does that mean?
If you'd kept your mouth shut, we might have thought you were clever. Oh, not you, Prime Minister. No, that's the translation.
No one would ever have thought Sir Humphrey was saying that about you.
Go away, Bernard, please.
I can't believe it, Humphrey. You had a conventional, strict academic upbringing. Are you denying the value of it?
Well, what's the use of it? I can't even call upon it in conversation with the Prime Minister of Great Britain.
Education in this country is a disaster. We're supposed to be preparing children for a working life. 3/4 of the time, they're bored stiff.
Well, I should have thought that being bored stiff for 3/4 of the time was an excellent preparation for working life.
The school leaving age was raised to 16 so that they could learn more, and they're learning less.
We didn't raise it to enable them to learn more. We raised it to keep teenagers off the job market and hold down the unemployment figures.
Are you saying there's nothing wrong with education in this country?
No, of course not, Prime Minister. It's a joke. It's always been a joke. And as long as you leave it in the hands of the local councillors, it will remain a joke. I mean, half of them are your enemies anyway, and the other half are the sort of friends who make you prefer your enemies.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying that education will never get any better as long as it's subject to all that tomfoolery in the town halls. I mean, just imagine what would happen if you put defence in the hands of the local authorities.
Defence?
Yes, give the local councils 100 million each and ask them to defend themselves. We wouldn't have to worry about the Russians. We'd have a civil war in 3 weeks.
You're just being silly.
Am I, Prime Minister? Well, that's what happened to education. And why? Because nobody thinks that education is serious the way defence is serious.
You mean that's why civil defence is left in the hands of local authorities?
Of course, because everybody knows it's a joke. You just don't leave important matters in the hands of those clowns. And as you've left education to them, one must assume that until now you have attached little importance to it.
I think it's extremely important. It could lose me in the next election.
Ah! In my naivety, I thought you were concerned about the future of our children.
Humphrey, come in. Sit down. I just want to bounce an idea off you.
Mm-hmm.
I've realised how to reform the educational system.
Excellent, Prime Minister.
I'm going to let parents take their children away from school and move them to any school they want.
Well, you mean after application, scrutiny, tribunal hearing and appeals procedures?
No, Humphrey, just move them whenever they want to.
I'm sorry, I don't quite follow.
This government is going to let parents decide which schools to send their children to.
Prime Minister, you can't be serious. But it's preposterous.
Why?
Well, you can't expect parents to make these choices. I mean, how on earth would parents know which schools are best?
Which school did you go to, Humphrey?
Winchester.
Was it good?
Oh, excellent, of course.
Who chose it?
My parents, naturally. Now, that's different, Prime Minister. My parents were discerning people. You can't expect ordinary people to know where to send their children.
Why not?
How could they tell?
Well, they could tell if their kids could read, write, and do sums. They could tell if their neighbours were happy with the school, and they could tell if the exam results were good.
Exam results aren't everything, Prime Minister.
That's true. And those parents who don't want an academic education for their children can choose progressive schools.
But parents have no qualifications to make these choices. I mean, teachers are the professionals. Parents are the worst people to bring up children. They have no qualifications, no training. You don't expect untrained teachers to teach. The same should apply to parents.
You mean before people have children, they should be trained?
No, that's no problem. They've all been trained to have kids. Sex education classes have been standard for some years now.
I see. Well, perhaps we could do better. Before people are allowed to have children, we should make them sit exams, written and practical. Or perhaps both. And then they could be issued with breeding licenses.
Oh, very droll, Prime Minister. No, but I'm being serious. It's looking after children that parents are not qualified for. That's why they have no idea which schools to choose. It couldn't work.
Then how does the health service work? People choose their family doctor without having medical qualifications.
Ah, yes. Well, that's different.
How?
Well, doctors are... Patients aren't parents, dear lady.
Oh, really? What makes you think that, Humpy?
Not as such, in any case. As a matter of fact, I think letting people choose doctors is a very bad idea. Very messy. Much tighter to allocate people to GPs. Much fairer. Then we can even out the numbers and everyone has an equal chance of getting the bad doctors.
See?
In any case, we're not talking about health, we're talking about education. And with respect, Prime Minister, I think that the DES will react with some caution to your rather novel proposal.
You mean they'll block it?
I mean they will give it the most serious and urgent consideration and insist on a thorough and rigorous examination of all the proposals, allied to a detailed feasibility study and budget analysis, before producing a consultative document for consideration by all interested bodies and seeking comments and recommendations to be included in a brief for a series of working parties who will produce individual studies which will provide the background for a more wide-ranging document considering whether or not the proposal should be taken forward to the next stage.
You mean they'll block it?
Yep.
Ah, come in, Humphrey.
Prime Minister, I want to talk to you about Prime Minister's question.
Thank you. I accept your congratulations. Wasn't I brilliant?
Well, I didn't...
Didn't you think so?
Well, I wasn't there, but...
Wasn't I brilliant, Bernard?
Well, I believe your replies this afternoon will not be quickly forgotten.
Let me tell you what happened, Humphrey. The first question was about that Home Office cock-up over the shortage of prison officers. My reply was masterly. I said, I refer the Honourable Member to the speech I made in this House on October the 28th.
Did he remember what you'd said?
Well, no, of course not. Neither did I, come to that. Still, shut him up. The next one was about unemployment and whether the Department of Employment fiddled the figures.
You mean periodically restructure the base from which the statistics have been derived without drawing public attention to the fact?
Exactly, fiddle the figures.
Well, of course they do.
I know they do. But I said I'd found no significant evidence of it.
That's because you haven't been looking.
And because we haven't shown you.
I know, well done, Humphrey. Then we went straight on to a googly about the Department of Energy's plans for disposing of nuclear waste. The question was trying to get me to admit that the Cabinet was divided.
Well, it is.
Well, I know that. So I said, my Cabinet took a unanimous decision.
That's only because you threatened to dismiss anyone who wouldn't agree.
You certainly made them agree unanimously. By this time, my backbenchers were cheering my every word. Oh, yeah, then we had a question about why, since we'd spent so much money on it, our new anti-missile missile was scrapped as obsolete the day before the first one came off the production line.
And how did you wriggle out of that one?
Wriggled out? That was my masterstroke. My reply, Humphrey, was sheer genius. I simply said our policy had not been as effective as we hoped. Clearly, we had got it wrong.
You admitted that?
Yeah, brilliant, wasn't it? Took the wind right out of his sails. Honesty always gives you the advantage of surprise in the House of Commons.
There was actually a supplementary. The Prime Minister was asked when he would request the resignation from the responsible minister.
Too easy. I said I'll ask for his resignation when he makes a mistake that could have been seen at the time and not with the benefit of hindsight. They were on their feet, cheering, stamping, waving their order papers.
I gather that there was a question about the bugging of an MP's telephone.
Oh, yes, I got a terrific laugh with that. I said...
I know, Bernard.
No, I said, much as I respect...
Yes, I know, Bernard told me.
Oh, well, anyway, that was just stupid. I mean, why should we bug Hugh Halifax's telephone? I mean, one of my own administration. Don't know where they got such a daft idea. Sheer paranoia.
Yes, the only thing is...
I mean, why should we be listening to MPs? Boring, stupid, ignorant windbags? I do my best not to listen to them. And he's only a PPS. I have enough trouble finding out what's going on at the Ministry of Defence. What could he know?
So I gather you denied that Mr. Halifax's phone had been bugged.
Well, obviously. It was the one question today to which I could give a clear, simple, straightforward, honest answer.
Yes. Unfortunately, although the answer was indeed clear, simple, and straightforward, there is some difficulty in justifiably assigning to it the fourth of the epithets you applied to the statement. Inasmuch as the precise correlation between the information you communicated and the facts, insofar as they can be determined and demonstrated, is such as to cause epistemological problems of sufficient magnitude as to lay upon the logical and semantic resources of the English language a heavier burden than they can reasonably be expected to bear.
Epistemological? What are you talking about?
You told a lie.
Lie?
A lie.
What do you mean, a lie?
I mean, you lied. Yes, I know this is a difficult concept to get across to a politician. Yes, you did not tell the truth.
You mean we are bugging Hugh Halifax's telephone?
We were.
We were? When did we stop?
17 minutes ago. Quite even separating out the component causes, let alone allocating responsibility for them, is a task of such analytical delicacy as not to be susceptible of compression within the narrow confines of a popular radio program.
Humphrey Appleby, thank you very much.
If that was a popular program, what would an unpopular program be like?
Thank you very much, Sir Humphrey.
Absolutely splendid.
My pleasure, thank you. Was I all right?
Well, couldn't you have said a bit more, especially about unemployment?
Such as?
Well, the truth. Why do you laugh?
Oh, my dear Ludo, nobody tells the truth about unemployment.
Oh, why not?
Well, because everybody knows you could halve it in a few weeks.
But how?
Cut off all social security to any claimant who refuses 2 job offers. There's genuine unemployment in the north, but the south of England is awash with layabouts, many of them graduates, living off the dole and housing benefit, plus quite a lot of cash they pick up without telling anybody.
You mean moonlighting?
Well, sunlighting, really. Most employers will tell you they're short-staffed, but offer the unemployed a street-sweeping job or a dishwashing job, they'd be off the register before you could say parasite. Frankly, this country can have as much unemployment as it's prepared to pay for in Social Security, and no politicians have got the guts to do anything about it.
Oh, I do wish you'd said that.
I'm sure you do. Oh, come along, Bernard, come on.
What's this for?
The BBC have just sent me this tape. Apparently it's part of my interview. They say it's particularly interesting.
Your interview?
You sound surprised that I should have said something interesting, Bernard.
Oh, no, Sir Humphrey. It's just that I thought you intended to say nothing, as always. I mean...
Switch it on, Bernard. You may learn something. My dear Ludo, nobody tells the truth about unemployment.
Oh? Why not?
Because everyone knows you could halve it in a few months. Cut off all Social Security to all claimants who refuse 2 job offers. And no politicians have got the guts to do anything about it.
Sir Humphrey, that wasn't you, was it?
Yes, Bernard.
But how could you say such things? Is there any more?
Yes, Bernard.
As damaging as what we've just heard?
More damaging. I believe I referred to parasites.
How could you be so indiscreet?
The interview was over. We were just chatting harmlessly.
Harmless?
It was off the record.
It was on the tape.
Oh, my God, I've just realized. Blackmail.
Blackmail?
Read that.
Here is a copy of your off-the-record part of the radio interview. We found it very interesting. We will contact you shortly.
What do they want of me, Bernard?
The BBC? License fee up 50%?
Maybe it's a private blackmail by the producer.
Well, maybe.
Doesn't he know I'm a poor man?
Maybe he hasn't read you live in abject poverty on 81,000 a year.
Bernard, what am I going to do?
Well, keep your mouth shut in future.
And so must you, Bernard. I don't want you to breathe a word about this to anyone. Anyone, do you hear?
My duty to the...
Bernard, I don't... Oh, Bernard, what am I going to do?
Well, perhaps you should put out a press statement expressing sympathy for the unemployed. Well, you may be joining them any moment.